Now, recently, President Trump has been facing some declining poll numbers and increasing criticism. Now, so in an effort to give him a little bit of positive press, Pat Robertson invited Kellyanne Conway on to the 700 Club to basically give Trump what I like to refer to as a verbal hand job. And boy, does she deliver. Let's take a look.
You were there instrumental in the campaign. You were writing some of the speeches. You were giving some of the words to speak. What's the one thing you think about Donald Trump? You've gotten to know him pretty well. What characteristic stands out in your mind?
It's one that most of the media never associate with him, and I would say it's humility. With the gravity and responsibility of being President of the United States and Commander-in-Chief of our armed forces, sir, I would say with that gravity and responsibility has come a great deal of humility. The President understands the awesomeness of this job. He understands what a dangerous world in which we live. Look at what North Korea did just a few hours ago in threatening one of our greatest allies, Japan. And look at the devastation that many people are facing here in Texas and, God forbid, and perhaps Louisiana next. And you have a president who understands that there are people in need, people who are suffering, people who are relying upon him to keep our country safe and prosperous.
And we got a softball. Softball. Look, this isn't even a softball. Okay, by the way, this was essentially a wiffle ball set up in a tee with Jose Canseco as a ringer. Is he still a thing, by the way? Like, I don't know my sports. Okay. But look, super soft interview, right? And of course, that's to be expected. She's on with Pat Robertson. Okay. But to the substance of her answer, humility. We're going to talk about humility? Are you fucking kidding me? Look, during the recent event in Texas, where you're supposed to be talking about how to help Harvey relief, right? Dressing people that were, hurt by this massive superstorm, right? All he did, he was there. He made remarks about his crowd size. Oh, the crowd is tremendous. Oh, look at this turnout. Humility? No. Hilarious. At least it would be hilarious if it wasn't so actually sad in dealing with the lives of real people. But there's actually more to this, and she's got a special message for the naysayers, mainly people like me. Let's take a look.
There's a great deal of humility that attaches to that. I think that what's lost on many, many Americans, particularly the naysayers and the critics who seem to be working overtime these days, is that Mr. Trump, President Trump, and his family have sacrificed mightily for him to vie for the presidency and indeed hold the presidency. Many people are motivated by power, by greed, by money, by influence, by status, by their future bankability when it comes to running for political office. But Donald Trump had all of that. He had the money, he had the status, he had the wealth, he had the bankability, he had the prestige. But he saw a greater calling, and he accepted that calling. And there's no way to really be behind me in that building every single day and make decisions that are so weighty and consequential for so many millions of people without feeling a great deal of humility.
Oh my God. Okay. Kellyanne Conway may be just be the greatest fluffer to ever live. That was incredible. Incredible. She managed to, in that 1 minute clip, turn the most powerful person into America into a giant victim and somebody who sacrificed so much. Okay, well, look, let's talk about the sacrifice, right? Let's talk about the things that he gave up. Did he give up his business? Not really. You know why? Because his son's still running. So technically, he's not running his business, but his son's running it. So when he's no longer president, he can go back to running his own business. What about his free time? Well, he golfs pretty much every weekend at his own properties. And by the way, that feeds taxpayer money into his own properties. And not only that, but he watches cable news for hours a day when he's actually supposed to be working, when he's actually supposed to be studying policy. So as far as those kind of sacrifices, come on. What about his money? Oh, don't be ridiculous. Yeah, he's actually president so that he can make money once he's done. Look, as far as a greater calling goes, she mentioned, it was a greater calling. I mean, he already had all this wealth, which we can't verify, by the way, and all this privilege. No, he came to serve because he's serving a higher higher calling. A higher calling. No, you know what his higher calling is? Himself. He doesn't care about the country. He cares about numero uno. And for those of you who don't understand that, that means number one, right? No, if he cared about the country, he would care about policy. He would pay attention during his briefings, and we know that he doesn't. Instead, we know from internal leaks, his own people, going and talking to the press, that he gets easily bored when it comes to policy. He cannot sit through presentations. He can't even sit down long enough to read half a page of intelligence briefings, right? They've had to come up with tricks in order to get him interested. One of them is to put his name throughout some of these policy briefings so that he would stay interested enough to read it. And this is stuff, like I said, that is important to the running of the country. And look, there's even more. When they got him ready for his European trip, when he's actually supposed to know diplomacy and policy and stuff, no, what they did is they had to reduce the briefings down to a tweet-length size. Just so he would pay attention. This guy doesn't care. He does not give a shit, okay? There is no humility in this White House. What occupies it now is, unfortunately, a petty, destructive man-child. And anybody who's still defending him is complicit in everything that will end up being destroyed during his watch. And that includes people like Kellyanne Conway. Hey everybody, thanks for watching this video. If you want to see more like this, please hit the subscribe button below. And if you want to support truly independent progressive media, please consider becoming a patron at patreon.com/TYTNation.